Hello, everyone. Hello, Maureen. Good afternoon. Right. So we started speaking about like money and CPD as well. So I think because you're talking about this for this 2-day workshop as well. Yeah. And I don't know, so many teachers I know, so many freelance teachers I know, basically work for CPD. So all our money goes on CPD. And the question is actually, do we need that much? So as someone so experienced in like managing teachers and teacher development, how often do you think teachers need to learn? How many seminars, I don't know, per year? And is there such thing as overlearning?
I think there is such a thing as overlearning. Mm-hmm. To answer your last question first, yeah, I think there is. And I think that freelancers perhaps are more disposed to overlearn, often because we work alone and we don't have that relationship in a staff room where you can chat with other people and exchange ideas, which is why things like Your Teachers Teach Teachers is such a good idea, because it's like replicating a staff room environment of people who are in a similar situation to you, and that's what you lose if you're a freelancer. It's a lonely road otherwise. So to alleviate that lonely road, you think, oh, well, I'll go to this conference, I'll go to that webinar, and I'll do this, I'll do that, and I'll do the other. And I think it can result in your CPD being very, very scattered. And you're trying to do too much. For teachers, our main place of learning is our classroom. Mm-hmm. And that's where we learn most, if we are disposed to that. And generally, because we're teachers, we finish a lesson and we think about the lesson and we think, that went well and that went badly. And we never think very much about why it went well, but we think for hours about why it went badly. And so next time I'll do this and I won't do that. And I think perhaps some people find keeping a reflective journal quite useful. Mm-hmm. After lessons, just to note down after a lesson, I felt these things went well, I wasn't happy with these things. I've done that before and I found it quite useful in the sense that when I look back after maybe a couple of weeks, things that I felt weren't going well tended to be quite similar in either approach or problems that were coming up. And then I took those aspects and thought, right, this is obviously what I need to do some CPD on. Mm-hmm. Rather than trying to do CPD on like a load of things. I'm going to do some CPD on lexical approach, and I'm going to do some CPD on questioning types. I'm going to do some CPD on gamification. I'm going to do some on classroom management. Hang on a second. From your own practice, what's coming up as a key thing for you? Is it maximizing student interaction? Is it balancing pace and challenge? Okay, well, if it's one of those things, that's where you need to start searching and think, right, I need to read about this, or I need to find a webinar about this. I mean, being a member of an organization helps. I'm a volunteer chair of scholarship committee for IATEFL. Mm-hmm. And something like that is useful because they have a lot of different special interest groups for different sectors of our industry. So you can find webinars and CPD opportunities there that are particular to your area of interest. But I do think you can kind of get yourself hysterical of taking up lots of CPD opportunities that at the moment aren't perhaps rooted in your classroom practice. Mm-hmm. So I think you need to get a balance of identifying what areas you need to work on and also thinking, okay, all these things are fine, but what would I like to know more about? Mm-hmm. I'd be really interested to find out more about X. I'm very interested at the moment, for example, in looking at different question types. Mm-hmm. And how they impact on the type of interaction you have with individuals and groups. Because I was writing some material for an online module, mm-hmm. And researching that, I found lots of things about questioning techniques. And I started thinking, well, this is really interesting for me, actually, not only in terms of management as a manager to an employee or a staff member, the different question types you ask, for example, in a conflict situation, but thinking about, for example, when I've observed teachers in feedback, do I use a range of different question types appropriately, or do I only use one or two? When I'm giving feedback to students on their work, what type of questions do I ask them? So I observe this as a problem, and this is something now I'm researching on, hopefully, well, I hope it will help in a number of contexts. So that's sort of a thought on that.
Mm-hmm. So if we're talking numbers, like, what do you think, like, is there a number, like, of a maximum seminar, like, even if it's the same topic, you know, if, for example...
I've never thought about it, Anita, to be truthful, in terms of, I've never quantified, I've never thought about it in terms of numbers. I mean, it's interesting for me because now I'm a freelancer and I'm managing my own CPD as well. And I'm trying to do no more than 2 webinars a month.
Okay. That's, but then it's like 24 per year. So
Yeah.
it's quite a lot.
Which I think is too much. I mean, I've put that number on it because I've got time at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I know later on in the year, I won't have that time. And also, you know, my interests might change or my needs might change.
Mm-hmm.
But either no more than 2 webinars a month, or no more than 2 webinar, reading an article, reading some blog posts, making some notes on it. I do like to make notes. That's why I've always got my book. So when I watch a webinar, I will make notes on it. And yeah, you see it's the book girls.
Yeah.
And kind of then try and cross-refer to other things.
Mm-hmm.
But, and you see, conferences are the other great attraction, aren't they? That, you know, you could spend your life attending ELT conferences if you had the money to do it. And conferences are great, but they're expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's travel, there's accommodation, etc. And I think the benefit of conferences, a lot of people feel, is not so much in attending the sessions, although they're great. It's the conversations you have with people outside the sessions where you really learn a lot more and you build your network up. So while conference attendance is great, I think you can kind of build your networks locally in other ways by being part of local teachers associations. Mm-hmm. And getting your network and your sharing and your contacts going that way. There's so much material online now.
Yeah, there is. I'm still like I'm not a very online learner, I must say.
Well, everything suits the people that it suits, doesn't it? And you know, partly the thing with attending conferences is it's a total experience. But I read a very interesting blog post a couple of years ago by a teacher trainer called Anthony Gorn, who was talking about, after leaving IATEFL, the annual IATEFL conference, which is a very big one, as you know, all social media is full of people going, oh my God, it's awful, IATEFL's over, I'm really depressed, I've got to go back. You know, I had such a great time, I learned so much, etc. And the title of his article was called "The Place is Here and the Time is Now." That after some form of input like that, when you get back into your classroom, that's actually where the learning from the conference happens. And that's where the reflection happens, because you start to situate your learning in your classroom practice. And I think that's why CPD can sometimes get a bit hysterical, because you follow all these opportunities because you're thinking, I want to develop in all these areas, but it has to be situated in your classroom practice for it to be of any value. And anything we do, whether it's reading or it's webinar or it's conference or what have you, we really only do it for our students. You know, so You know, that, I mean, everything we do is for our students. So if we know that we're teaching groups of younger learners, and will be for the next 6 months, let's say, then attending a seminar on teaching English for special purposes in the aviation industry isn't going to help our students now. It might help us later in diversifying our brand, but it's not situated in our current classroom practice. And I think that's always where you've got to start.
Oh, but if you really want to go there, no.
Well, that's, if you want to go, you will go, you know.
No, yeah, that's the problem for me. That's why I asked you to develop this session for freelancers. Yeah, because this is what we're going to talk about, how to develop this strategy, not to waste your time and money, like in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, we will talk a little bit more about this. I'm very interested to know what delegates at this session, what their experiences are, and how they manage their own CPD.
I'm not sure we manage. We just, oh, there is a nice. So like, I think there is this because it's all. I mean, we have so many things now going on. Yeah, and it's really hard. And there is also like a fear of missing out. You know, that everybody's doing this and you're not there. Yeah. So yeah, that's why that basically this session is really important for me. So thank you very much for agreeing to do it.
Okay.
So can you, like for those ones who just joined or who started watching from the end, can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to do in Moscow when you come here in January?
I know, in my big coat. In Moscow in January, I'm doing a session for your people talking about managing your own CPD, which we talked about a little here today.
Freelancers, yeah.
For the business forum, I'll be talking about performance management in English language teaching. That's the first day. What is performance management? How do we recognize it? How do we manage it? How do we develop it, etc. And the second day, we'll be talking exclusively about CPD, continual professional development for staff. What types of CPD there are, what types of CPD staff want, how to define and devise an effective CPD program that includes all your staff, because school managers, you know, manage admin staff as well as academic staff, and you need to consider that as well. So the two key topics are performance management on the first day. I'm really excited to hear what delegates think of my view of performance management. I did some research with some teachers in London about their views of performance management and what they want from their manager in terms of managing their performance, which I'll be bringing to Moscow. And I'm very interested to hear the responses of delegates to that. And the second day, looking at different aspects of CPD.
Whew. Wow, really sounds really exciting and sounds useful. And I don't think we have like many events. Like I have never heard of like a whole day on CPD, for example, or performance management. So these topics sound quite new to me here. But maybe because I'm new to like managing. You know.
I think, from my understanding, that certainly with Dimitri, there hasn't been an event that's focusing on these more management style topics. So I think this is perhaps a newer thing coming to Moscow, which is even more exciting because then we can just work it out as we go along.
Super. Sounds really, really exciting. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop live now. So goodbye to everyone.
Bye, and hope to see some of you in Moscow in January.